What's happening, everybody? Welcome to this week's live stream. I hope everybody's doing great. We're approaching Christmas. It should be pretty exciting. We got lots of plans up here. Hopefully you guys do too. And you know, we're kind of creeping up. We got to get our projects finished if we're going to be giving them for gifts. So today what we're going to do is turn up the other blank, the Macro Pearl Holiday blank. And partly I wanted to see what this thing looked like, but the other thing is I've been meaning to try out kind of playing around with the beading tools from Wood Tools, the little cutters with the beading kind of things. Let's see, let's switch to this view so you can see. Oh, focus. So I've got the 1/8 inch on the tool right now, and they come in 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, 3/16, and 3/8. And so some of you guys might have seen, excuse me, seen Chad do beading on one of the ornaments. And so I'm not actually going to use it for beading. I think everybody's seen beading tools for the most part. And what you would do is you're just creating all these little bumps. So these two little points, let's say, kind of reference each other, and you can kind of create this kind of bumpy surface. Now I don't want to do that because I think on a pen that would be extremely difficult to sand. It would not be fun on a like an acrylic or resin blank. But what I want to do, and this is an idea that I had kind of when I was getting into the custom fountain pens. The thing is, the 3-piece custom fountain pens or bespoke pens, they all kind of look the same. I mean, there's only so many variations that you can make on the length of it, the shape of it, all that kind of stuff. And I was kind of, using my brain a little bit, what little I have of one. And I thought, it'd be kind of cool to add some like lines. I don't know what exactly you call these, but I did a little bit of an example a little while ago. And so these lines, these, grooves, were created with the beading tool. And what I like about the beading tool is, you can pick whichever one you want, and it will give you, if you just put the tool in, it's going to give you, 2 lines that are, whatever that distance is, like an 1/8 inch. That's why I liked the 1/8 inch, because I think that looks pretty good. So, like on a cap, you could put a couple of lines in without having to do a bunch of extra steps. Let me go get, hold on real quick. Let me go get my Lusso pen. Eric Sands, he's the Atelier Lusso guy. He puts actual rings in. So let me go get it. I forgot to bring that up here. Doo-doo-doo. On my way back. Luckily my knee's feeling better, so it's not taking me 3 hours to walk up front. All right, so here's my Lusso pen. And so he's got a bunch of, like little embellishment, but these are like actual metal. And so, to put all these rings and things in, and this might show you, like it's an actual piece of metal. These like ring things, and that's fine, but that adds a little bit more work, especially if you're doing a bunch of them on your custom pen, and you have to add all that stuff, and it adds steps, let's say. However, you can kind of do the same thing. Now obviously this is not as high quality as actually putting metal rings around. I don't know what you call these things, but whatever, like actual metal things in there. But with all the different resins and glues and all the mica powders and different things, you can do the same kind of thing pretty quickly, pretty simply. Now the one issue is you only have so much material to work with. You don't want to cut all the way through, because then you'll just cut your thing off, cut the piece. But if you don't really need to go that deep, and you're not even actually going to put like the bead on it, you're just putting a couple of these lines in. And one other thing that I want to mention is you don't have to use a beading tool necessarily. If you mark it, you could use like a detail tool or like a skew. So, you know, this isn't like you need to go out and buy the beading cutters, but I do think that not only do they do beading, but if you had a set of these, and all they are is just a carbide insert, it's not like you have to go buy an entire new tool, and you get that line distance locked in. And like I said, I think for like a pen, this 1/8 inch is like dead on. Like that really looks pretty good. So that's what we're gonna do today. Let's see what the comments are doing. And I also have, I got the ornaments that I won from the ornament auctions. So I got all of my ornaments over here. So I'm gonna show you guys my haul, and then that way I can bring them home so we can actually get them up on our tree. Gretchen was like, "What? You're taking them to the shop?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I got to share with everyone." She's like, "Okay, whatever." Let's see here. So who is here first? It looks like Mike McEwen. Nice. Got a lot of people here today. I'm not going to run through the list. I'm just going to say hi to everybody so that we can kind of keep going. But I'm going to scroll through and see if there's any questions or anything like that, or comments. I don't see any commercial when I was going to show them. What did you miss? The beading cutters? Let me know what you missed, and I'll show you again. You got the pens, nice. I can't wait to see it. You got to let me know how they write. I actually tested out the fountain pen, and that nib is really good. I mean, I didn't even have to do any adjustments or anything like that. It just, for me, it seemed to write smooth. Now, different angles can, you know, when you're writing, can kind of change things. You will need to get some ink. You can either get the little cartridge type ones, or I don't know if you have that or not yet. I have, where are the cartridges? I can, just in case people don't necessarily know. What did I do with those? I had some cartridges. I kind of prefer, I don't really like the cartridges because you're pretty limited as to what inks you can get. Let's see here. Yeah, here's one. I had a cartridge in a kit. And a cartridge in a pear tree. Okay. So for fountain pens, and for anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about, so I ended up sending out the pens to Kid Cooper, the fountain pen that I made with the Cooper's Challenge blanks. So there's these, oh, put it on the right camera. There's cartridges, these little things, and this has ink in it, and all you do is you just pop it in there, use the ink up, and then toss this in the trash. But that's an easy way to do ink on a fountain pen. And let me grab a fountain pen real quick here so I can show you guys like what this would actually look like going together. Just in case anybody doesn't really know. Fountain pens are a little bit more, you know, you kind of need to look into what's going on with these things. They're a little bit different. So this is a cartridge filler. And so it's got a little piston in here. You just dunk it in you'd have to buy a bottle of ink. And then you just stick the nib in. You need to get it down in, like you're gonna probably drop the thing into the section, into the liquid, your ink. You need to get it all the way, like the full nib buried. And so you would start with the piston all the way down, and then you just rotate it out and it sucks the ink in. And you're good to go, and you can use any ink, but you do have to buy a bottle of ink. But that stuff, it lasts forever. So if you buy a bottle, but there's like 50 billion different types of ink. So that's the cartridge. And all these things do is they just pop into, you just push it into the back of the nib. There's a little doohickey on the back there. And, this would be sitting inside the section. And then you just push your cartridge onto the back of that, and then it writes. But the other way to go is you can just use, or I guess this is what do you call this? Whatever this is called. They just have these little ink cartridge things, and it's the same thing. You got to give it a little bit of a push to pop that, to kind of break through the little plastic thing. So it will take a little bit of force to get it to pop onto there, but Like I said, these are just disposable. Typically, they just come in like black, red, you know, blue. There's not too many options for different colors with those. But anyway, so go pick some up and write with it. See what you think. All right, let's put this guy back together. Okay. So, moving on to the ornaments. Let's see, did Mark tell me? Missed the, oh, the metal and the pen. Okay. So these are like actual like rings or, you know, metal. They're like washers, you know, basically. Which you could use washers. But it's actual metal that's been like turned down. You know, I don't know how he makes these necessarily, but I have a feeling that he kind of like glues the parts together and then actually turns it down. But so you can add a lot of cool embellishments, which I think kind of looks really nice on pens, you know, these little lines. But, you know, that takes a little bit of extra work, obviously. And like I said, I'm not saying that this is kind of the easy way out, let's say. But you know, you can basically just be making a 3-piece pen, but you don't have to be doing any gluing or cutting anything extra. You just add some lines in there and then fill those. And so you could use stuff, you know, like there's all, you know, millions of different types of glitter type things. You could use like the 14 karat nugget, which I might try using that today. You could use gold, like the gold leaf stuff. You could even use the little opal, crushed opals, like the super fine crushed opals, which I think would be really cool to try out also. I need to see which, you need to get like a pretty fine, you know, grind on that stuff. That's the only, oh, I do have some, I don't know where these came from. Might just be kind of glitter. Those are just like pigments, not worth it. Let's see, what else could you do? You know, micas. I was actually thinking about trying some mica powder today on this one also. So, and I have another blank. So this is the one that we're going to turn. And so I was thinking, this is just going to be a one piece, like a Sierra, or actually what I'm going to do is a Monarch Grande. Unfortunately, I don't have a gold. I really wanted to go with gold, but I don't have a Sierra style kit in just regular gold. I do have a brass one, and you could go with brass, like brass shavings. I actually have some of that. And I tried this at one point. Where did I put that? It wasn't super awesome though. Where did I put that blank? I don't know where I put it, but I actually tried that, and like I said, I have some brass shavings, like very fine brass, kind of almost dust, and it was a little bit dull. So now these ones, this was actually silver leaf, so similar to this type of stuff. I think I got it. Let's see. I think it was this stuff. The actual silver leaf. That was this one. That looks a lot more like silver. This was actually, I believe this was silver, the silver gray mica powder, but it looks really dark. So, you know, you'll have to kind of play with this and experiment, but that's what we're doing today. We're going to play around with it and see what it looks like. Let's see here. Got to show the ornaments. Let's see here. So let's see. Brian, so Mr. Cooper, were you asking about where you can get Eric Sands' work? Is that like these pens? You can, probably the easiest, he's got a website. He's got pens there. He's at quite a few shows. I love his pens. And this is one of the, he uses like this is like actual abalone stuff. I don't know how he makes these. Probably uses like a tube and then kind of creates all this stuff. But I've always really liked the shapes. I love the clips. These are all custom clips. Pretty nice. I mean, he does, I've wanted one. This, when I really kind of dove into fountain pens, I was like, I'm gonna get one of those because I really love them. So here's a link to his website, and then Instagram also. He posts new ones and stuff, and so you might be able to just kind of get a hold of him, get in touch with him on Instagram. If you're not following him, definitely follow him. Oh yeah, I tried powdered aluminum too, and that didn't. I don't know. I tried a few different metals. Where did I put that blank? It wasn't super awesome. I'm like, honestly, oh, here it is. I was like, I really think you could just, well, okay. Yeah, so here's a blank that I played around with. This, I didn't use the beading tool. So this was brass shavings, which that would go really well with this pen. That it would match, like it would really look like, and it looks like metal. I forget which one this one is. Shoot, I didn't mark which. I wasn't super thrilled with any of these. This was the aluminum, I believe, aluminum shavings, and it's just dull and kind of boring. Like it's not really, I don't like it. Like I'd rather put silver mica powder in, I think, or the metal or the flake stuff. That would be a really good one. Let me look at the bags of stuff that I have, because I got, yeah, okay, so I got brass powder. Oh, stainless steel powder. I thought I had some aluminum. I'm not, honestly, I'm not entirely certain which ones. I definitely know I tried brass powder, so I just bought this stuff on Amazon. Bought a big bag of it, Metal Powders USA. And so, like, it's cool, you know, to go with the full brass, and you can be like, oh, it's real metal. But honestly, I think that you're probably almost better off going with, like, you know, gold leaf. I think it's going to look better. Maybe even the 14 karat nugget, which is basically like glitter in a sense. Did I not get a silver? Did I not have? Let's see. Sorry, guys. I'm looking around here. Okay, so 14 karat nugget. You know, I think it's going to pop out better and really look like gold, you know, a little bit more if you use these kind of glitters and stuff. And then, anyway, so that's what we're going to do today. We're just going to play around, see what we can do. Should be pretty fun. I don't think I've actually tried mica powder yet, so I'm kind of on the, let's try Olympic gold and see what that looks like. Because we already have, you know, we've seen kind of brass powder, we've seen some silver leaf. That looked great on the white one. It's a little bit, so the silver leaf, the problem is this blank is a little bit light already. Like the silver would really pop out in a darker blank. And then this was, like I said, this was a mica powder, but it did darken up. It looks kind of black. But that really stands out with the lighter colored blank. So we're kind of learning, you know, we're like on a little bit of a journey learning a few different types of things. It's going to probably take a lot of experimentation to figure out exactly, you know, what look specifically, you know, which product to use to get what look. But I think it's totally worth it. So I'm going to drop a link real quick to the beading cutters. You can get them at Turner's Warehouse because, of course, they got everything. Let's see here. Aluminum powder. I don't know if I actually tried aluminum. Maybe that's what's down here on the ground. I'm not sure. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, that's not aluminum powder. That's something else. So anyway, I'm not sure. Aluminum powder might be a good way to go. So let's show you guys let's get all this stuff out of the way. Figure out what I'm going to use. Like I said, I think we're going to go with the gold. I don't know. I do think the brass powder would probably look pretty good. One other thing about like using metal powders, it depends, depending on which type of glue or resin or whatever you use, the metal powders may be a little bit clumpy and maybe a little harder to kind of get in there. And it may take a couple kind of tries, let's say, to kind of get it in there. The first thing that I thought of for doing this type of thing was to actually use wire. I thought that would be probably the easiest. You can just put a groove in there, put some glue, and then wrap it around. But the problem is you're going to have this area where the two ends meet. And I never tried this, but I have a feeling that it's probably going to look terrible. Like obviously you did it that way. So I think you're better off probably just going with this kind of like a fill of some sort rather than something actual metal, like a wire like that. All right, so let's see. Let me make sure I'm not losing parts and things. This is the cartridge thing that went in there. I don't know where the pen kit went that I pulled this out of now. Maybe this one. Okay, so let's look at some ornaments. I was super stoked. I won a ton of them. I was surprised because I wasn't able to get back in at the end, which, obviously that's how auctions work. So I ended up winning one of the ones that I made, but I was kind of bidding on it for my mom. So I got to get that to her. Won that one. So this was made by a 13-year-old. Can you believe that? Look at this. That is a really nice ornament. I saw this one. I was like, I'm going to have that. I forget. I can pull up, I think, who made these. I believe. Let me see here. Yeah. Okay. So that was made by Kaylee Rice. It's even got a little bit of like gold kind of flake things here and there. Pretty cool. I really like the color too. And then this one was made by Bruce Jordan. Lots of really good detail on this one. Look at all the cool parts. 3 pieces, pine cones, and the detail's really nice on this. I bet he used a beading tool for that. What do you guys think? That was a good one. So that's he's Jordan Woodworks. He's got a YouTube channel, so make sure to check him out. He does some really good stuff. Okay, I got a magnet too from him. And then this one, let's see here. This was made by this was made by Abby from Turner's Warehouse. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I think this is like the ornament kit. I really liked the way that she did, the shaping of the blank with the little, because these are pretty small parts, but you can do a lot of really cool stuff with them. So I won that one. Pretty happy about that. And I'm going to save the best for last. Let's see. This one was made by Kelly Phillips. I just thought this blank is like way cool. Look at that. I don't even know like what's going on with this blank. It's really neat though. Simple, but lots of really cool, again, beading cutter probably. What do you guys think? Looks like a beading tool to me. And then the one that I was like all out on this one. So this was Mike Lexa from, he's Homer Lex. He's in the chat right now. I saw this and I was like, yes, I'll have that. So I bid the heck out of this thing. I think I had the bids up like on the first day, like over $100. But I just loved this blank with all the really cool stuff going on with these, like all these different, blank pieces. So I don't know if he wants to share how he did it, but did you drill this or did you just, was it like just a bunch of stuff, different blanks that you put in? They look lined up. I'm wondering if you drilled this out. I don't know. You don't have to share how you did it, but it's really cool. And then the handle matches it. So it was this is why I was bidding it so high. It came with a pen too that matches the handle. Kind of hard to get. Let me zoom out a little bit. Let me zoom out. Oh, I guess that's about it. Put it sideways. How about that? So I got two things. I was super stoked about this. Let me switch back to, I can't see the chat. Let's see here. Happy Fun Spheres, nice. Yeah, that's cool. It's a really fun one. I liked it. So I feel like I was the big winner with the ornament challenge. So a big thank you to everybody that made ornaments, participated, shared, bid, won, you know, all that stuff. It's always a fun event. And they raised like, I think it was like $5,500 or more this year. I think it was, they beat their totals from every year. So pretty good one. And like I was saying before, like, I don't know if you guys, did you guys check out the auction? Like look at all the different ornaments that were entered. Like in years past, you could kind of spot some of the like youth ones or like the beginner turners. There was a wide variety of like kind of skill levels and all that kind of stuff that you could kind of like just by looking at them be like, you kind of pick them out. But this year, like none of them were like, you're like, oh, that looks like a beginner made that. They all turned out really, really good. Like they were all like a really high quality level. I felt like you just kept scrolling through, and I mean, really without looking at the title or anything like that, you had no clue necessarily if there was a 13-year-old making it or, someone that's been turning for 2 weeks. It was pretty cool. Let's see. All right. Well, let's get started on this. So again, we're going to be making a Monarch Grande. It's tough. I'm looking at this thing like the brass powder is probably the best, the most, it's probably going to match the kit like dead on. I don't know. All right, so one other thing that I want to mention is there's a couple different ways that you can do the filling, and we can kind of get into that over like on the lathe when we're ready to do it. But so we're going to use the beading tool to create the two lines that are, perfect separation, 1/8 inch. And then there's a couple different ways you can go. You can use like CA glue, you could use UV resin, you could use like a 5-minute epoxy. You could use casting resins. The problem with that is they have such a long working time. Even with Alumilite clear or something like that, you're putting so little on there that I'd probably not go with that. You need something that's a little bit more in like the glues, adhesives, quicker setup, kind of time. The UV resin's kind of nice because you can lock it in whenever you want. So that's always a good choice if you're doing things like this. That's how we make the rings. Most people are doing it that way. CA glue, though, works really well, and it's very fast, and you can use the accelerator. The only issue with that is it's going to kind of set up, whenever it wants to. So, whichever way. Typically, I kind of like going with the CA glue. I'm probably just going to use like a thick CA glue. That way it's not really running, down, dripping and all that kind of stuff, but you can still lock it in, and it turns really well, and it's pretty easy to work with. The problem that I have, I think, with the UV resin is, well, and actually my little UV light cure station broke, which I need to buy a new one. So the problem is it's like winter time, and I may not have sunlight to use. UV resins are nice because you can fully cure them with sunlight, but if there's no sun out or if it's night, you're kind of hosed there. So let's see here. Oh, nice, a laser cut bus. Yeah, they were all really good quality, like really good craftsmanship on like all of them. Like there was 187, I think. They were all like and some of them were like ridiculous. Many of them, I should say. Like a lot of people put a lot of work into them. But even the ones that, you know, didn't look like they took like 3 months to make, you know, they were all like super good quality. So it was pretty cool. All right, so let's switch over to the, let's see here. I'm going to close a couple of these windows. It just kind of slows my computer down. That out of the way. I don't think I need anything on my website. Oh, I did need something on my website. So there is one more of the holiday blanks left. It's not the macro pearl one. It's the transparent one, like the one I turned last week, which is also extremely good. I was really happy with those, how they turned out. Let's see here. So we want, there it is. Like I said, I'm pretty sure there's only one left of the transparent style. And I can show you what that looks like really quickly here. So here's a link to those on my website if you want, or that one, let's say. I can show you what it kind of looks like here. I don't have the pen because I already sent it out. So let me switch to the overhead here. So, you know, it's just not sparkly. There is a little bit of macro pearl in this, but these ones were like, this was made, the macro style was made with an opaque dye. So I think Divine Pigments probably, and then with macro pearl in it. So the whole thing is macro pearl, where this one, I just put a little bit of macro pearl in the whites, but it was made with transparent dyes with white resin dripped through, plus some interference color. So this thing's got a lot of craziness going on, and it turned out really good. So like I said, one of those left. All the folks with the subscription boxes are going to be getting one or the other. I kind of split them down the middle. So just wanted to let you guys know. So let's head over to the lathe. Start turning this thing. I'll have to think about how I want to do this now. This guy's set up. Like I said, just going for, oh, that's not the right. It's a good thing I didn't. Wrong bushings. We're going to go with this, what is it called? Majestic Grande? Something. Hold on a minute. Which pen kit are we doing? Monarch Grande. And I have the Monarch, or well, I have the Gatsby Grande, which I think I did measure them. They're the same thing. But I only have the regular bushing, so this gives me a good opportunity to use the, if I can find them, shoot. To use the adapter bushings, which I can't seem to find right now. That's not good. I just showed them. I put them. Oh. That doesn't fit right. Let me look at the two. Hold on a minute, guys. I might have to. Huh. Well, that's not going to work. All right, I'm going to have to use calipers, I guess. Because this Gatsby Grande doesn't, they don't actually fit into the tube. It's like a smaller tube. All right, well, there goes that. So let's see here. Pull back out the, so these are just regular Sierra bushings. And I'm just gonna go to, I think it was, for anybody that has bushings that will actually hold the blank, like they fit in the tubes, that's where we're at right now. They fit in the tubes, but they are not the right size. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna measure this 13.2 2.6, probably about 13.3 millimeters is what I might turn this down to. I'm going to actually write that down just so I don't forget. So I'll have to keep checking with the calipers on the dimensions. The bushings are so much easier, but I got this written down over here, so that's good. Bushings are easier, but you don't necessarily need to use bushings. You can just check the dimensions you got. All right, I'm going to turn the dust collection on. That going. All right, so this should be a pretty quick turn. So we got a couple things that we're doing here. We want to see how do these macro blanks look. Sierra Vista, oh yeah, I don't know. Pretty sure I don't have, I mean, honestly, I was actually surprised that I found whatever those, the Gatsby Grande were. All right, so let's stop real quick. Let's see what this blank looks like a little bit. Hopefully I'm on the right camera. I am. Woo! Oh yeah. That's gonna be good. Sparkly Christmas. I like that. It's gonna look way better polished up too. Get that dust collector a little closer so it's actually collecting something. All right, now I got to think about where I want these grooves. We're not there yet, but before I like really finish this thing up, I got to also check the diameters that I'm at. I want to see where exactly, I think that this would probably look, I think this really goes well with like the custom pens, because a lot of times you just kind of have these blank, like, the cap and all that. So we already have a couple of lines, so I'm thinking that we want to maybe go like right in the middle maybe, or just slightly off center. That might balance it a little bit better. Maybe actually, because we're going to have basically we're going to kind of have the same idea on the front of this. Let me look at, wonder if I have, instead of me messing around with all this stuff, I wonder if I have a fairly simple, maybe like a silver kit. They all seem to have like those bands. Everything that I have has that. Yeah, so I'm thinking like if we put those lines kind of right here, I think that would look the best. So let's see where we're at on the diameters. So little ways to go at the ends. Not too much though. He misses his brother. Let's see, where are we at here? Still at 14 something. Gotta go to about 13.3. I'm at about 14.1, so. All right, I think we're pretty close. We'll have to see where we're at here. Uh, 13.6 or so. 13.5. So we're pretty much. I think I can sand it down and get that pretty much knocked out. Okay. I'm going to quickly sand this at 600 grit. Just to kind of get everything smoothed out. Oh man, I have got to change the water out. That's nasty. Ugh. Might just throw the whole cup away on that one. All right, I'm going to turn the air or the dust collector off. Swap out our water here. This might be from last week. Actually, it is for sure. And it was kind of funky before that. All right. That's better. Now it looks like water instead of sludge. So is everybody finished with your gift making? Did you get all your projects done, or anybody have like last minute kind of, you're going to be turning pens or other gifts up until like Christmas Eve? Stefan, how's it going? Let's see, we got 600. I'm just, like I said, just getting some of the tool marks and stuff out, getting this smoothed out, and then we'll do the beading cutter tool. I don't know if it really makes any difference which way you do this, but kind of like it nice and smoothed out. It just lets me know that I'm kind of done with the shaping. Make sure everything's good to go. Then I can just focus on that putting the grooves in. Yeah, I'm doing really good actually. I'm doing physical therapy. It is it's doing really well, I think. I have some pain. I can't really bend it all the way in, like I used to, or compared to the other one. Like I'm not going to be like sitting on my, like with my legs folded under me ever for a while. But I'm walking normal. I can kind of squat. I'm actually surprised because I was pretty laid up for a couple weeks, and I was like, okay, we'll see. I really thought that I totally tore one of the tendons or ligaments or whatever, ligaments. And so it just turned out that it was a meniscus tear, and it was not even like a bad meniscus tear, really. I don't know. I'm very confused about the whole thing. It seemed like when it happened, I was like, you got to be kidding me, because I wasn't really doing anything. I didn't feel. I was just barely running, like sort of jogging. And so, I was like, how did that even, what happened? Like, how did that happen? And then it hurt, and I had so little mobility that it was very similar to when I tore my ACL. So that's when I started thinking, oh man, this is much worse than I thought it was. Then the MRI comes back and they're like, well, it wasn't really that bad. But the beauty of this injury was, like, daily, even when it was bad, it got better significantly, like every day. Like there was noticeable difference every single day. And so it just kind of keeps going along that path. Now I knew that I had started doing exercises like pretty right off the bat, because I knew that that's what PT was going to basically entail. So I was doing minor stuff, trying to strengthen the muscles a little bit, because I couldn't really walk for like 2 weeks. So I was like babying it really bad. But overall, I feel like this is like the scary part of like rehab. I feel like I could go jogging, like running right now. That's how good it feels usually. But after prolonged like standing on it and doing, walking and stuff, it kind of swells up a little bit. But I did get a cortisone shot. I don't know if I mentioned that before. And I think that significantly helped, because that kind of wiped out a lot of the swelling, inflammation that was in there. And I think that was kind of the key to everything. But it's nice because even small like sideways movements and twisting, even that doesn't hurt right now. So I have to be careful though, because it feels so good, but it's not really healed. So I kind of have to be careful, where it's a mental game now, where you're like, okay, don't do something that you shouldn't, So anyway, That's the update on the knee. It's doing pretty good. I'm not wearing a brace or anything like that. Yeah, it was a weird one. Well, so I think I've had, I think a knee, I think I've had a meniscus tear, and it just got a lot worse. Like some, because I actually felt something pop this time. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm not even sure exactly how it happened, or like what really like caused it or whatever. But I think just I had been kind of, I started doing trail running, and I had been running quite a bit, and it did kind of hurt. There was a little bit of pain on both insides of my knees. And so what I'm thinking actually happened is that my arch, I took a step, my arch collapsed on my foot, which in turn kicked the knee in, which caused the problem with the meniscus, I think. That's the only explanation that I have, because I didn't like do anything, twist my knee or do anything weird. It was all pretty like linear and not high impact. So I think that because I have flat feet, so I think that's what actually probably caused it. All right, so let's do some beading here. Again, I'm going to look at this. I think I want to. I think loading it kind of to the front is the way that I want to go with this. The other thing about that is there'll be a little bit of tactile, like you'll be able to feel it a little bit. It just won't be exactly the same feeling as the rest of the blank. It's not like it's going to stand out or be weird or sharp, but I think you're probably going to be able to feel it. So I thought that'd be kind of a cool place to kind of, put it where you're really feeling that. I'm thinking like, close that thing. Thinking like right there. Kind of like a third of the way. Not the middle, about a third of the way up. All right, so let's get the camera in a good angle. I know it's not right now. Gotta put tools and things away. Get this here, that way you guys can kind of see the cutting action of this. These things are awesome, by the way. I kind of played around a little bit with these things already, and they're pretty cool. So now, again, you don't need to go too far in. Luckily, on a kit pen, if you go too far, it's not like the whole thing's going to separate. It's glued onto a tube. And frankly, you could go all the way down to the tube if you, for some reason, wanted to. But it's going to start creating like kind of a bump. And I really am not actually going for beading. I'm just going for cutting in these grooves. So I'm not really trying to make that kind of bump in the middle. All right, so let's get this thing going here. I think that looks pretty good. It's a little bit angled, so I want to go kind of even. Let's see how I did. That's looking all right. I might go a little bit deeper. Just got this thing lined up so it gets into those grooves again. All right, I think that's probably good. You don't have to do a whole lot. In fact, I probably went deeper than I really need to, because now you got to, fill. However, I do want to kind of fill this quite a bit. So I'm really going back and forth on which way I want to go, because I think that the brass fill is probably going to look, what actually I think I did? I think the difference is, I think these both are brass. I think that I used CA glue for this one, which is a little brighter. And I think I used something else, like UV maybe, on this one. And it's a little bit duller. But I think they're both brass. So, yeah. know, guys. I mean, honestly, the brass shavings are like a dead match. If you're going for like gold, don't use brass metal, like real metal brass shavings. Like that, I think that was the thing, is I was kind of looking at like gold. And I thought, oh, you know, I'm not going to get gold flakes or, you know, like real gold. But brass, you know, turns fine and everything's good with it. But if you're going for gold, that's not going to work, right? But if you have brass, you know, maybe not not polished brass, but like brushed brass hardware or something like that, if that's what you're trying to match, like that's dead on. It's a pretty good match for that. So, yeah, it's tough. Let me just look at some of the goodies that I have in my little goodie box. See if there's anything else that I really think is a better idea for this. I don't think there's gonna be really. I'm gonna leave it up to you guys. Do you want to see the brass metal shavings, or do you want me to try going with a mic? Originally I was gonna go with a mica powder. Yeah, we can actually put up a vote here. Let's put up a vote. That's a good idea. Let's do it right. Yak's here. What's up, man? How do I do that? Yeah, there we go. Nope, not a Q&A. Start a poll. Okay, there we go. We got the poll going, guys. Oh, hold on. There we go. Let me know what you guys think. Gabby's here. What's up? Sterling silver. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. I think I just grabbed a couple off of Amazon real quick. Just finished your first pen. Did you post it on Instagram and TikTok? I'll have to check it out. Inlaying and what? Hello? Turning a pizza cutter handle. Nice. Oh, Gene's here. What's up, Gene? Oh, meniscus problem put you in a wheelchair for life. Ugh. That's not good. Oh, was it like a torn ligament? Yeah, it was pretty painful at first. I mean, I really couldn't put any weight on it well, I could put weight on it. I shouldn't say that. It just like little movements that were not like straight. Like if it angled a little bit, I mean, it was like, ow, you know. Let's see. I don't know. I don't see the poll on my phone. I think the poll's up. Kind of up at the top. So it's a 50-50 right now. 16 votes. We need more votes. Do polls show up on the phone app, or like the mobile? I'm not even seeing that. Maybe it's no. Huh. White box, nothing in it. Maybe refresh. I lost the chat. I don't use my phone for things like this very much. I don't even know where things go. Huh. Shoot, I lost the chat on my phone. I'm going to close the YouTube app and reopen it and see if that works. Maybe that'll help. There it is. Yeah, I'm not seeing a vote thing. Well, that's not very good. It's 50-50. Oh, yeah, Achilles tendonitis. It did show up on your phone, huh? That's weird. I don't see it on mine. Yeah, I can see it on my computer. I don't see it on. I'm going to end it. I'm going to redo it and see if it works better. So sorry about that, guys. I'm going to do another one. Let's see here. Brass or mica? Brass, mica. Let's try it one more time. See if it works better. All right, there we go. Yeah, the little beading cutter tool thing is, yeah, it's just a carbide from Easy Wood Tools. They got 4 different sizes. I'm using the 1/8 inch. I think is like the distance between the 2 tips. But it's pretty cool. So you don't have to buy like, you know, like a beading tool, which I don't know. I mean, unless you do a lot of basket weave, you know, the illusion stuff or beading. These are much more handy because, you know, it just goes on your your normal, like, if you use carbide. It's nice. You don't have to have like a whole nother handled tool in taking up space, you know. And they'll last longer that you know without having to sharpen them. Oh, half and half means leave it blank. That's a good one. All right, so we're at 60% mica. I mean, the one thing about it is I think it might match, you know, obviously it might match the pen components, but you've already seen what it looks like. That's the, you know, these are 2 examples, this one and this one, of brass shavings in a blank, you know. So maybe it is better to go with the mica so that we can kind of see that, because I honestly haven't done a gold mica either. So it looks like we got our votes in. Well, we lost, one person didn't vote again. whoever that 16th vote is probably going to go, oh no, we got 16 in now. So it's still 44 to 56. So I think I'm going to end it. Let's go with the mica this time. And I have another blank, so we might kind of play around with some other stuff on another one real quick. So here we go. So we're going to end it. Let's see. I'm going to pull out, we got, yeah, I think the Olympic gold is probably the way to go. The other way that we could go is with 14 karat nugget. That actually would look pretty good too. I want to try the mica. Let me just go with Olympic gold mica. I know it's a little bit more on the gold side of things, but I really kind of just want to see what a normal kind of mica looks like. All right, so I'm not sure what the best, now I can't exactly remember how I did this. I think that what I did was I combined the mica and the CA glue in a little cup first, and then kind of spread it on. I suppose you could paint on, I don't know what the best way to do this. You could paint in, you know, some like apply some CA and then dump some mica into the groove. But I actually think that you're better off just kind of mixing the two. Now, you're not going to be using a CA glue that's going to set up on you in like 2 seconds. You want to kind of be able to have time to kind of mix that in. That's why, you know, the UV resin is not a bad way to go either, because you have a little bit more, well, you have unlimited time. But the issue with UV resin is if you add too much stuff, it may not cure. So, you know, CA glue is definitely going to cure. That's kind of the beauty of it. So let's do that. I'm going to use my thick, the Star Bond thick. It's got a pretty long working time. Does it tell you how long? No. It says slower flow and curing. I think on their website it actually tells you. Okay, so I'm going to put this one back. I'm just going to squeeze some of this in here into this cup here. And then we're going to grab some of this mica powder. Get you guys kind of like right over me. I don't know, I think this will look pretty good. And then get back on the pen. I really need a camera crew. Then all I'm going to do is just kind of squish it in. You might have to do this like a couple rounds. You know, you're probably not going to get it nailed down on the first try. And I think you're probably better off, you know, not necessarily trying to get everything done at once. Just take your time. You can always add more on top, you know. Oh. All right. And then what we're going to do is we're going to let it, you know, set up. I'm going to hit it with the accelerator. And then we're just going to, you know, you can either turn it or sand it. I think you know, if you piled up quite a lot, you're probably better off pulling out the tool, you know, and like cutting most of that stuff off. But then, you know, if you haven't really blobbed it like I did, you could just sand it back. Let's see here. You blindly hit a blank box and got mica. That's funny. Laguna's had an 1836 for a long time, actually. All right, I'm going to hit this with some accelerator. Now, technically, I would recommend like letting this sit for, I don't know, probably like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. We don't have 20 or 30 minutes though. And if you are in a hurry, it'll obviously work, you'll see. But just be careful, because I did blob quite a bit on there. And what can end up happening is there's uncured CA glue down in the groove. So I'm going to be I'm going to take a little bit off, and then I'm probably going to come back and spray it again and do that a couple times, just to kind of be adding some of that accelerator as I go. But if you just let it, the nice thing about CA glue is if you just let it sit there for like 30 minutes, it's going to cure up, you know. So just be aware of that. All right. CJ, what's up? One way you'll know if there's uncured CA glue is it'll be all over your tool tip cutter. So it looks kind of terrible for a little while, but it's actually pretty magical once you actually break through. And we maybe could have gone with like white. There is some white in the blank, so I don't know, but I would recommend going with like an opposite. If you got a dark blank, go with a light color. I think that it'll end up looking the best if you do it like that. Definitely gold. So I don't know, can you guys see that pretty well? Let me get the camera in a little bit closer. Pretty cool looking. It's so simple. Like I said, it may take a while to find, you know, the perfect inlay material for the blank that you're working on. It may take a little bit of playing around to kind of understand what some of these types of things look like. But I think it's totally worth it, you know. There's so many options of things that you can fill it with. I think what we'll do on the next one is just I'm just going to chuck up a blank. I've got, you know, random blanks all over the place. So I think what we'll do is just chuck it up and then just kind of experiment with some different things. I think that's better than me making a pen, because I'm already making a pen. I don't need another one necessarily. And I think that'll help, you know, give us all some ideas, you know, what to expect. So we got gold mica powder. I definitely want to see what the 14 karat nugget looks like. We can try that. We can do, well, like I said, I've already done the metal brass. I mean, I don't know that we need to do another test of that. Someone was asking about Kev was asking about doing it again, but I mean, I've already done it, so, you know, not this one, but these two, those are both brass, the metal stuff. That's what you can expect with those, the brass ones. Let's see, did I lose the cap? I think I lost my CA glue cap. That's not good. Oh, there it is. Things always fall off the back of my headstock. All right, so pulling out the wet sanding. Time to do some more sanding. It's a little bit more on the orange kind of side, but we'll have to see once we get this, you know, sanded up and everything. Kind of see what that looks like. And the more mica that you add, the more like saturated the color would be. I think you could maybe try adding a little bit less. It's tough though, because you know, without really coming up with some sort of a ratio, it's kind of hard to tell how much to put in there, you know. But let's zoom out a little bit here. Yeah, it's pretty Christmassy. I'm anxious to see how this turns out fully polished. That's once we get like polishes, because that's already really bright, you know. I think it's going to even brighten up more once we start polishing all this stuff. And if you want, you could put a CA finish on top. That'll even make it pop out a little bit more, probably. Kind of shine it up a little bit. I'd kind of rather stay away from having to do that. But it could help. It could help the visibility or shininess of that inlay, possibly. All right, so we got our this is 600 grit right here. Move up to 800. And then we'll go into the micro mesh. I think we'll do, or not micro mesh. Don't like micro mesh. Zona. I don't know why I said that. Somebody was asking me about polishing blanks. Mentioned micro mesh yesterday. Yeah, I think that'll look pretty good, actually. So it's interesting though, you know, it's nice being able to add some detail to a blank. You know, again, you don't need to get the beading cutters to do this. You know, if you have a detail tool, that's all you need, really, just a point, or you could even use like a skew chisel, you know, something to just create a groove. I mean, heck, if you have a square, actually, another way to go, if you don't have any of these tools and you just want to do this, if you just came in with the point of a square, regular square, that would work. It'd be a little bit more awkward, a little less control, pushing it in kind of weird. So, you know, kind of like at a 45-degree angle, but You could use like a parting tool possibly. So, you know, there's lots of ways. You could even make like your own. I mean, you know, just digging around in that drawer. I have this little, I don't think that this specific tool is good enough. Like it's already cracked and broken. I don't know that I want to put forces on it at all, but all you need is something with a point, you know, to dig into that blank. What I love about the beading tools though, is if you're going for two parallel lines at a specific distance, I mean, you can't beat it. It's perfect. But you could just create your own kind of beading tool, you know, if you wanted to, out of, you know, whatever, like a file. Just give it, you know, a couple points and all that if you want to do DIY. It's pretty cool. I like this inlay stuff. You don't see a whole lot of it either. This is the nice thing about doing inlays and things like that. It's not hard, obviously. You saw how fast I did it. But not that many people are really doing it. You know, it's not like you see it on a ton of pens. Yeah, it's a totally different, you know, just something different to add to what you're making. Similar to, you know, last week we were talking about the matte finish. It just gives you another option. It's not just another glossy, you know, resin pen. You know, you can add that matte finish and that will change the way things look. It'll give you something where it's the same thing but just slightly different, you know. It's nice having those little options, and you'd be surprised at how many people, you know, whether it be customers or people you're giving as gifts, how they'll kind of flip out. They'll be like, some people will not have a clue how you did it. They'll be like, wow, you know, that I don't even know how that's done. And so you can explain it to them. It's not that hard. Come into the shop, turn a pen with me. I'll show you. All right, so this is 800 grit silicon carbide. I have to say, I think I might be converted. I used to use Abernet all the time. Like that's what I started with. But I would also do it dry. But you know, I always used Abernet, and I got to be honest. I'm getting better results. I think with this silicon carbide. I'm actually sanding less with it, I would say. Sorta. Getting good results. I like it. And I finally gave in and just started doing wet sanding from the beginning, and I think that's probably the best way to go. But so 600, 800, then we're going to switch to the Zona papers. I think that should be a good, I don't think you need to go to like 1,000. I think 800 is plenty. You could probably stop at 600 and then switch over to the Zona. Going up to the 800, just kind of, the one issue is I think that it's a reasonable enough like grit jump from 600 to your Zona, you know, the green Zona paper, but I think they're slightly different. The way the particles are on the paper and everything, how they're, the density, even really kind of the type of particles. So it's not a bad idea to kind of maybe go a little bit higher than you necessarily need to with your one sandpaper to get slightly finer scratches, then switch to this, which is maybe going to be slightly different the way it abrades. It's kind of the same idea with buffing wheels. You'd probably want to go a little higher, and then because it's abrading slightly differently. Yeah, like I have a 16th inch parting tool that would work pretty well, especially for like a single. So this is a Carter & Sons. Like that would be a pretty decent groove. A little wider than these ones, obviously, but lots of different ways to do this. This is not, you know, like I said, you don't need to get the beading tools. However, the beading cutters are, if you already have the square, the roughing style handled tool, so you know, square cutter tool, if you already have that, all you got to do is just plop these things on. It's great. So you know, grabbing a set of these things, if you ever need to do any beading, you're done. You got it. Easy Wood Tools comes out with some really cool stuff. Yeah, I don't know if I mean, I wouldn't, but for like doing a tiny little groove, I think a file would be fine. I don't think I'd turn one into a bowl gouge, though. Yeah, steak knife. I actually created a parting tool from a lawnmower blade or something, or edger tool. Anybody know Captain Eddie? Have you guys seen Captain Eddie on YouTube? I got that trick from him. Worked really well too. It's just not as thin as I would like it to be for certain things. The Carter & Sons 16th inch parting tool is really nice. You know, they're not cheap, but they do make excellent tools. What am I doing? Gray. Lost my train of thought there for a second. We're okay though. Back in the saddle here. You know, one thing that you could also incorporate, you know, if you are selling pens, you could, you know, utilize different options as, you know, have the customer kind of build a pen, and it gives you as like a seller a way to upsell a pen. You know, oh, it's not just, oh, here's a pen and it costs, you know, $50 or whatever. You can be like, oh, well, you know, the base model is this, and then if you want, you know, trim lines, that's going to add $20 or, you know, whatever. Different ways of doing things. I mean, you could even technically, you could maybe go for like, oh, well, a matte finish is going to be, you know, included if you want it glossy. That might get a little bit, that's a little over the top, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you can kind of build options into your pens by having different things that you can do with them. I'm going to go up to this, where's the blue? Where's my blue one? I lost my blue one. I'm going to go to the blue, and then we'll go to the magic juice. This thing's looking pretty good so far. Still on the, you know, matte side, but I mean, yeah, that does kind of scream Christmas to me, I think. Which is what I was going for. Okay, so we got our blue Zona paper. Then we'll switch up to the magic juice, and that will just pop this stuff like crazy. Oh, do they work with mid, mini, and easy start? Yep. I have a long, nope, I bought this giant lathe just to make pens with. Now, I originally when I bought this, I wanted a full size. So I was coming from the Comet, the Nova Comet, and I was just like, well, originally I planned to use the Comet for pen turning and this for, you know, bigger bowls and different stuff, but I had an opportunity. Laguna, I did a video for them, and they kind of helped sponsor part of the lathe. Gave me, like, basically just gave me a really good deal on it, and I'm like, I mean, really, I may as well just kind of get like the last lathe. I mean, it'll do anything that I possibly want. So originally I kind of had larger projects that I had planned. I wanted to make, you know, like a baseball bat and stuff, but really I don't really use the capacity of this thing. I mostly just do smaller stuff at this point. So it's not necessary, but I will say one thing. Like originally I planned to use the Comet for pen turning. And what I found was this thing is so much more rigid. Like everything is just so much better quality on this that I was like, there's no point in me using the Comet. It's not even in the same category, you know. So I just kind of switched the Comet over to a buffing machine. Now I am seriously considering buying the Herald and kind of using that, playing around with that to make pens with, just as something different, so that I'm not always on this giant lathe. One of the things, being a YouTuber, I know that people kind of look, you know, they see a video and they, you know, if you don't know what's going on, if you're just not aware, you know, you may see someone like me making pens and they think, oh, I got to go get a 24-inch swing, you know, lathe to make pens, and it's not the case. So, you know, I like to be able to intermix things. Plus, like the tailstock on this thing is heavy. It's hard to push. It requires, there's a little bit more stuff that has to go on to work with this. So I kind of wanted to get like a smaller one and see, you know, and play with that sometimes. So I'm not giving the appearance that you need some fancy top of the line, you know, huge lathe or anything like that. You can do it. I mean, heck, you can do some amazing stuff on a Wen lathe. You know, it may fight you along the way, but you can use any equipment and get perfectly good results. Jim Hines said something. You know, he did a video in a class on making custom pens, and you know, the way he said it, he's like, you know, you can use any lathe and get good enough results. The thing is, you need to understand where the shortcomings are, or the quirks, the things that, you know, your specific lathe maybe doesn't do very well, and then just kind of figure out how to deal with it. You know, one of the big things is, especially on the smaller lathes, your tailstock quill can have a ton of play. Like, you know, unless you kind of like tighten it a little bit with the tightening whatever thing. Even mine, like, I like to keep it on the tighter side. I'm not going to leave it way open because it can really wobble around. So, you know, just little things like kind of tightening that up when you're drilling will keep your drill bits lined up. And so there's little things like that. You just need to understand your lathe and how to deal with the challenges that it may have. I personally really enjoy high quality tools though. So, you know, some people like to you know, save as much money and like tune up kind of cheaper tools. I'm not really into that. I'd rather just buy, you know, an expensive tool that just kind of works out of the box. That's just how I am. I'd rather be doing the thing than fixing a tool to do the thing that I want to do. It just depends on, you know, your budget, your mindset, your time. That's another thing. I don't really have time to fix up tools to get them to work. So I tend to buy higher, you know, quality, expensive tools so that they just work. But I have the budget for it. So, you know, if I didn't have the budget, then you just make do and fix it up. Is horsepower a factor? I do have the wheel kit, so it is mobile. I don't move it. So that was kind of an expensive upgrade. And I ended up buying that later. I should have bought it right away because I got a discount on everything. And they're like, buy everything you want for it now. And I'm like, oh, I don't need that. Yeah, I mean, somewhat. Power can matter depending on what you're trying to turn. But I mean, most you know, decent brand name quality, you know, lathes are good enough. You know, for things. It just kind of depends on what we're talking about. For pen turning, yeah, horsepower does not matter for pen turning. If you're turning heavier, somewhat larger, heavier type bowls, things like that, yeah, I mean, things that have less power can kind of bog down a bit. But the biggest thing is, whatever you're planning to turn, I would just ask, see what other people are using and how they like it. I think that's a better question or better way to do it. Because most people will be honest if there are things that they don't like about their lathe. And they'll let you know, what to expect. I don't think that I can't think of a situation where somebody would actually hold back. Most of us, if we don't like something about a tool, we're like, oh, it's great, but it does this, I have heard really good things about all the record power lathes. I've turned on them. I did demos at Maker Central using a Herald. I think is what the small, whatever the smallest one. I never know the names. That one's a really good value. It's a pretty good lathe. So I was pretty happy with that when I was doing the demos. I've turned on the bigger one is. I did that. I played around with that at Turner's Warehouse. The Laguna, they're like mini or midi, whatever lathe. That thing's pretty awesome. I played around with that quite a bit at Turner's Warehouse. I know everybody loves the Jet, like whatever their kind of flagship midi, whatever, mid-size lathe. It's a great lathe. Most people love their Rikons, pretty much any of them. A lot of people like Novas. I was happy with my old Comet. It worked pretty well. Gave me quite a few years. It's still running strong, but now that I have this, like I said, I don't see a point. Nova had some issues with some of their stuff. I ran into problems with them, but like Jake likes his lathe, I'm pretty sure. Doug over at Pole Barn, he likes his. And they do some pretty cool stuff. Just kind of depends. I mean, the only ones that I would say, one thing that I would not recommend is I started with a Shopsmith, and I think that's just a terrible lathe. If you can get something else, you're probably going to be happier, because they just aren't really intended, even though it is kind of set up that way. But my tailstock, I mean, it just wobbled all over the place, and so if you can lock it down, maybe, but you run into issues with buying like chucks and different stuff. So I would just get a lathe that's a normal one. Harbor Freight has a couple that are reasonable. I think that if you can afford it, you're better off getting something a little bit more expensive, but they'll do in a pinch. And I know a lot of people that have done some amazing work on Harbor Freight lathes. Yeah, I have never heard anybody complain about a Rikon. You're right. Most of the people that I know that have Lagunas are happy. Like the 1836 and the 2436. I haven't heard complaints about anything with Lagunas, and I love mine. It's a good lathe. All right, we're on step 5 coming up here. Do I still have any mother of pearl, crushed or powder? Yeah. I mean, I don't. Did I use that for something? I'm not sure exactly what you're talking. If there's a specific thing that you're talking about, I have opal, crushed opal. Probably do have some sort of a mother of pearl or something. Yeah. Gotta open the, oh, squirting all over. There you go. 1524. Yeah. Is that the, that one came out kind of, that was a little bit more recent, I think, addition to their lineup. That one looked pretty awesome. I think I saw one. I haven't turned on one or anything, but saw one at Turner's Warehouse. It looked like a pretty nice lathe. Powermatic's a great, lathe company. A lot of people like their Powermatics. I don't know, like, I don't know of any that are terrible, Kind of just depends on, like, what do you plan to turn? What's your budget? And, like, what features? I think the biggest ones, like, once you get to, like, the top of the line that have all the variable speed and all that kind of stuff, if we're just talking about, like, the mini lathes, once you get to that level, like, they're all pretty good. It's kind of hard to have, like, a terrible one in that category. I think where the biggest issues lie is the difference between, like, the cheapest ones and then, like, getting up to, like, a variable speed model. I think that's where the division is. And frankly, for me, like, I can't stand, like, some lathes, you have to, like, they don't have, like, a dial, like a variable speed. There's like 8 speeds or something, or 6 or 8 or something like that. And every speed, like, you'd have to change the belt to change speeds. Like, I'm not doing that. I don't care. Save up a little bit more and get a variable speed. I think you're going to like it so much better. Like little things like that. But some people don't, they don't care. They're like, whatever, I'll just change the belt. I'm not a big fan of belt changes. So I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I mean, I'm lazy. I'm so lazy that I didn't even like 3 belts on the Comet. I'm like, with this Laguna, I don't ever change the belt. There's like high and low speed, and low speed really is just for like massive turnings that I don't really do. I just don't need that extra torque ever. All right, so here it is. It looks good, guys. I don't know if it's, like, it may be a little bit too goldy for the kit, possibly. It's a little bit more in like the orange, like an orange color. So if this kit was gold, I think it would match much better, But I wanted to see the mica powder, and so I chose to do that. Now, I can also swap out, if I just get a gold kit, I can just swap out the hardware and I don't have to worry about it, So I might do that. I might try and find a Monarch Grande in gold and see how much better it matches. But I mean, that looks pretty awesome, I think. So again, not trying to, like, worrying about matching the kit or anything like that. I mean, super simple, super easy. And it looks pretty good. That thing's polished up real nice. That magic juice really popped it. All right, so we're heading back over here. We're gonna put this together, and then we're gonna. You don't need to look at me. And then we're gonna do some more experiments with some different materials and stuff. Now again, you're kind of limited. You really need to go for something with fine particles. So some of the crushed opals are too big to fit in the channel, unless you make a wider channel, But I would say for doing the, for something like, if you're using the beading cutters, a lot of that stuff is really too big. Let's zoom in a little bit. Let's see. Put that right there. Hopefully I got the dimensions, the diameters pretty good on these. This thing has a little, nope. Okay, that's working good. Let's see here. Which side do I think I like this side the best. I'm gonna go like, it's pretty close. It's, like I said, a little bit more in the orange, a little bit oranger than the brass, but jeez, this one just does not want to go in. There we go. I'm not sure if the third, it might have looked better trying to center that, just because of the where the clip kind of ends. I don't know. Let's take this apart. I'm just gonna pop this apart real quick, and I wanna flip the blank and kind of see what using the other third, what that looks like, you know, like putting it at the top basically. So let's do that real quick. Now, for anybody that's new to taking pens apart, the easiest way, and the way that I usually do it, is I'll just grab the punch, put it in there, and then I'm just going to grab a hammer, and I keep like nitrile gloves on, and that gives me the grip on the blank, and then I'm just going to pop it with the hammer. And you want to use, when I first started doing this, I thought, oh, I'll just use like a plastic hammer thing, but you really need metal. You need that, the weight, the mass. It makes a huge difference. And then I like to put down like a pad of some sort, something soft to kind of catch the part. Hopefully you can kind of see what I'm doing here. Try not to scratch anything or squeeze it in a weird way. It's going. There we go. All right, so let's try it this way. I think that looks better already. What do you guys think? I think that it was just kind of weird having these two lines meeting that clip. Another thing I could have done is get rid of the clip. That would be another way to deal with that. Just take it off, basically. But I like that a lot better. I think center on a Sierra might even be better. Possibly even just like a one line type thing. I don't know. Like I said, there's lots of different ways you can do this though. But I think that's looking a lot smoother. A little bit more orange than the brass, definitely. A little kind of goldish, but definitely a little bit, I would say, in the orangish spectrum. That's kind of cool looking. I like it. All right, so let's go and play with some different ones. I'm just gonna chuck up a blank. Let me put this punch back before I lose it. Let's go with, trying to find something that makes some, well, actually we got, all right, so let's go with this one. It's a darker blank. It's one of the old Nebula style, so it's pretty dark blank. I'm going to switch over to the lathe view. And so all I'm going to do is we're just going to chuck this thing up and we're going to make some grooves on it and we're going to fill them. So like I said, rather than turning a pen, let's just do some different things and see what we get, see what looks good. So this will be, you know, on a darker blank. So I'm going to go with, you know, I want to try out the silver leaf for sure. Maybe silver mica. So I tried one of the most silver micas that I know of, and it really was pretty dark, it turned out. Maybe if you use a little bit less of it, that I was saying that, you know, depending on how much of the mica powder you actually put in the CA glue, that can kind of change things. So maybe if you went a little light on how much mica you put in there, it might change something. But I do think that you're better off just probably going with like some sort of a silver glitter or silver leaf. Probably going to be your better idea. Let's try some macro sparkle. And I even want to try like I think I want to try like a light, like a greenish teal on this darker one. So I'm just trying to pull out some different, so silver leaf, I think this is going to look crazy good. I wish that I had like a 14 karat nugget silver version of that. I don't know if they make that or not. We'll go with this macro sparkle, which again, that's like a glitter. It's similar to like the 14 karat nugget, just white. And then this one's a chartreuse from eye candy. I thought that might like kind of pop out, being bright like that. You could use color shift. I don't know that it would really shift much though. That's the problem. Color shifts work on curves a lot. I mean, I guess you are curving around, but it's such a thin line that I don't know if it's really gonna do a whole lot. I don't know. And like the blurple, I don't think that it's gonna really stand out in this blank because it's so dark. That would be something that I would probably, well, it's tough because you need a darker background for the color shift to work, but it would probably look better, like at least mine would probably look better, you know, the blue to purple, it's darker, so it would probably look better on a lighter blank, possibly, more contrast, I don't know. Yeah, that press does disassemble, but it's so much easier just to hold it and pop it out like that with a punch. But for extremely stubborn blanks that don't want to come apart, you know, pens, that disassembly tool is awesome for that. I'm gonna, let's see what this looks like. It's probably gonna be wobbly. Yeah. I just need to kind of quickly sand this end. Okay. Look at that. That's looking good. Yeah, you can crush the opals. I don't want to mess with that personally, but you could. All right, so I'm going to pop the drill chuck in real quick. That's not what I want. Where's my... Hit it with the center drill. I'm not, all I'm doing is putting grooves in, so I don't really care if the end is square and all that kind of stuff. Just need to get a 60-degree thing in there so that we can get the live center to hold it real good. All right, so we're already running pretty late, so I'm just going to do this kind of as fast as I can here. Turn this kind of flat, and then we'll add some grooves in there. Let's try a different beading tool as well, different size. Maybe try the 1/4 inch in addition to the 1/8. All right, so we'll put a couple of the 1/8 inch lines in. And then I'm going to swap this out with a 1/4 inch beading cutter. Just kind of see what that looks like. So again, these come in 1/8 inch, 3/16, 1/4, and 3/8, I believe. Yeah. So let's try the 1/4 inch one. Why not? I think for pens, the 1/8 inch is probably going to be the go-to, but you never know. Now the 1/4 inch can go quite a bit deeper before you get to the actual bead. And you know, you could do like an actual bead as well. Oh. Might be a little bit deep for starting to kind of tear a little bit. So you could do a bead and kind of fill, you know, around the beads as well. That would be like something a little bit different. These things are pretty neat, these beading tools. Of course, you can just do beading as well. I like to use things as they're not intended. All right, so let's try, I'm gonna turn the dust collection off. Let's try a little bit of this macro sparkle first. I will say this leaf stuff, the silver leaf and the gold leaf and all that stuff just gets everywhere. Kind of crazy. Although these little macro sparkle things do too, so. Just be ready for a little bit of a mess with some of these guys. All right, so let me get a couple of these different little cups. And we can kind of try some different. I thought that thick CA glue worked really well, but we can maybe try. I have this. This one's not bad. It's a medium thick from Starbond that has a pretty reasonable open time. Like it's definitely a lot longer than some of the other ones, but not as thick. It can run. Now I don't think I would use the thin, probably. That stuff sets up really fast and it's so thin that it's just going to kind of drip off. Maybe like your mediums and stuff like that, like the medium flex might work. This is more of a finish. That's what the flex ones are generally like a finish. That's what they're meant to be. So they usually don't cure as quickly. Oh, I just ripped the. So let's try this medium real quick. Medium thick. Still pretty thick. I mean, it's not like it's like running all over the place, but. So we'll do that. I'm going to put this up here. Angle this thing down. You can. I think you can see everything that's going on. We'll get some sticks here. The macro sparkle in the 1/4 inch grooves. Yeah, that one's looking really good. Looks like so far. Okay, so I'm going to spray it. I might need to do one more coat. May not be all the way to the like level with the surface. I'm going to kind of spin it for a little bit just in case some were sagging, and we'll spray it. I'm just going to let that sit. We'll move on. Let's go for this silver leaf next. This one's going to take a little bit more. The micas are great because you can just kind of dump it into the into the CA glue and kind of just move on with your life. You know, just spread it in. This stuff, you're probably going to need to add the glue and then push the stuff in. I believe that's the way that I did it last time. So this might be more of a go a little ways, spray it, and then, you know, do a little bit, lock it in, do a little bit more, lock it in, that kind of thing. So I'm just going to apply it like that, and then you can just kind of put it on top. Let's see here. I'm going to need to get a little bit finer tool. I think that you're also better off having some sort of a armrest to work on. Something to kind of put your hand down on. And you're just going to have to kind of slowly push this stuff down in. I think is probably how you're going to have to do it. Maybe I'll try just kind of stirring it up in one of those cups as well. But I think that this, like the leaf method, I would say that it really looks good, but it is going to take like probably multiple layers, multiple times doing it. It's going to, like, it's going to take longer and it's going to take a little bit more work. I'm just going to kind of spray that, lock it in. Add a little bit more here. So now that I've sprayed that, though, this might set up fast. Faster. If there was a little bit of that accelerator down in the channel. See how there's liquid accelerator down there? So just be aware that if you do it like piecemeal like that, little bit at a time, you're probably going to end up with glue that sets up a little bit faster than it was had you not sprayed it first. Kind of a messy ordeal. But I think you're going to like the results. That's the thing, is if you put the time in, I think this leaf method is really, especially for this like silver, it's really going to give you good results. Like it's going to look like it's going to look more like an actual metal than mica powders, you know, if you're going for metal. And it could even be debatably better than actual like metal powder. But what I found the first time I did it was there was little tiny gap things, you know, that you're trying to push this, but it's like a leaf. It's not like little powder. It's kind of big chunks. And so I found that there was like little gaps and things that forced me to have to go back and do, you know, at least like one more round, basically. So let's spray that a little bit. So this could be a case where UV resin might make more sense, possibly. Sorry, I'm not Yeah, Stefan said so. Just said I wasn't reading the comments until just now. Focusing on spreading this stuff in here. But that way, you don't. That way, you're not like hitting it with accelerator, which accelerates the UV. The UV light will cure it, but it's once you've cured it, it's not like there's something that's going to cure the next round. So either way, though, I mean, CA glue works fine as well. I don't know that you're going to save a ton of time by using UV resin necessarily. Okay, that's kind of hardened up a little bit. I'm just going to spray this with some more of that. And get some of this excess off the fringes. So we still have some areas here that need to be filled. I think you guys are going to be like, wow, that looks pretty good. I was pretty happy with this, like I said, with this silver leaf method. I don't love how finicky this is and messy. I'm just not that type of person that's into that kind of stuff personally, but I think for a lot of people that aren't OCD like me, you're going to be like, this is fine. This works just fine. So you can find this leaf stuff. There's definitely copper, gold, and silver that you can find like on Amazon. Easy Inlay has it. Actually, do you sell this, Mike? The Easy Inlay stuff? They have all three, right? I know they have gold. Would the UV be able to penetrate to cure the... Well, that's the issue, is if you load it up with a bunch of junk, UV resin could have issues curing. I think I did use it at one point, and it seemed to work okay, but you could have some issues where there's problems. And my other problem with UV resin, I don't want to use it right now because I don't have a curing machine that will do like the full cure right now, and I don't have sunlight either. So, that's the one thing. CA glue is gonna cure, pretty quickly, really. Where UV, if you don't have a curing light and you don't have sunlight, to get it fully cured might be kind of difficult. You can see this stuff gets all over the place. Okay, so if there's some little gaps and stuff, I'm not going to worry because we're just doing these for experiments. All right, so for the third one, we're doing the turquoise, or chartreuse, I guess is what this is. But again, it's just a mica. One thing I didn't do was try... I think you could actually... I might make one more groove. I want to try the method. I'm going to just use my detail tool. Make one groove right here. I want to try to just mix up the leaf, the silver leaf in a cup with CA glue. That was the one thing that I forgot to do. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think this works. So we got our cup there. Probably had enough if I didn't blow it off the lathe. That's okay, we got plenty of this stuff. So I'm just going to dump a bunch of it in there. grab a stick. Yeah, actually, I think this'll probably work fine. I tried this first, but I'm probably going to need quite a bit more of this stuff. And then you can just kind of shove this in. Yeah, that's way easier. Okay. Highly recommend just mix it in the cup and then kind of shove it down into the groove. I don't think I got that groove very deep. But again, you know, you might have little areas where you didn't really get a lot in the groove. So I'm just going to stop there, I think. Let's see, I got a little bit more. You're probably going to find that once you turn this back, there's a bunch of gaps. Like I was saying before, when you're dealing with this type of stuff, it's pretty chunky. It's just so easy to have like a gap, little void in there. So that's pretty much set up at this point. So just be aware. I think that goes a lot easier just mixing it in a cup as well. But you're gonna probably have to do multiple layers. All right, so cover that thing up. I need one more cup thing. And let's see, is there any other? I mean, let's go for some of this UV. So we'll just go for the Illuma UV. Again, I won't necessarily be able to fully cure this, but I'll just show you what it looks like. Like I said, I generally, I think I prefer going with CA just because it's kind of quick, easy, and I don't have to worry about that curing. But UV resin works just fine as well. I'm pretty sure. So I just dump a little bit in there. It's probably too much. And then so we'll have to see how well this cures. Like I said, the more stuff you put in UV resin, the less easy it is for it to cure. One thing I need to do though is I need to spray this. I think it was already setting up and everything, but just to make sure we got that nice and good. And I need my UV light. There it is. Cover this chartreuse. And I'm just going to do a little bit at a time, cure it, and then move on. Move around. Okay. Oh, looks like I got some silver stuff in on this side. That's okay. I know, I'm not looking at the chat right now. I'm just trying to focus on this. I will stop in a second and see what you guys are saying. You guys probably have better ideas than me how to do this. Now, even with just this light, you should get it to the point where you can turn it, but it may not be fully cured. A lot of times that takes, 15, 20 minutes out in the sun. And these little flashlights just don't really have enough power, usually. I mean, you could sit there and hold it for 10 minutes, I guess, but it's not particularly fun. So you're better off having like a UV curing type station. Actually, I guess one thing I forgot, I actually have a UV curing thing for my 3D printer. Huh. Have to use that, try it out. But the little nail curing machine, that thing broke on me. Doesn't turn on anymore. Okay, so I'm going to poke this with a stick. Yeah. Kind of having curing issues. Kind of cured, so you really want to get this on kind of thin, I think. That's kind of the key here. But you can see that I am having some curing issues here. So you'll have to kind of watch out if you do plan to use UV resin. Putting less mica powder in may be a good idea, But I also just think that doing very thin layers, like really trying to put very thin amounts in at a time and then curing it, that's going to be how you have to deal with this. Because it's hardening, like the thinner areas are hardening. It's just where I globbed on a big glob of it over it. That's where the problem is. It's kind of hard to get, just a thin amount on only. Like just in the channel, like that's really kind of hard to do. Oh yeah, use CA. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know that I'd switch. Honestly, I would just, if I'm using CA to do one thing, I think I'd probably just use it because I don't know. Like I said, it's just so simple. Just dump a bunch of CA on there and kind of move on. So I'm gonna stop there. And we're going to try and turn this, see if it works. I'm hoping that UV resin is cured enough, but I think there are going to be some areas that are definitely not particularly cured. So eye protection for sure. worked all right. Yeah, quite a bit of it came out. Let's see if I can maybe lock it down just a little bit more. Did I throw away that cup? Yeah. I'm gonna grab a toothpick. Try to apply the UV into that groove with just a toothpick instead, because a lot of that came out. So just doing a very tiny amount at a time and trying to kind of thin it out. That might, well, that's definitely the way to do it. Not even a question. And so like little by little, I think is really the game. I think I was trying to go for way too much at once. Just build it up, put a little bit in there, hit it with the light. I think this is going to work a lot better. All right, now we're cooking with gas, as they say. Nail polish, that would be a good one. Good idea, Kim. Yes, you can just paint. Very good idea. I mean, you could just use spray paint even. And they do have some of the chromes and things like that. They have like metallic spray paints. That would be pretty good. Model paint, any kind of paint. Any paint you got would work all right. Or even like possibly like acrylic paint. Probably would have to seal it with something maybe, but yeah. Very good ideas. Oops. All right, we've almost gotten this thing filled up, and I think it's gonna, like I said, I think this is a much better way to go. I was putting way too much on. We can at least get an idea of. Did I turn it off again? Gee. I think there's like 3 different levels, and it's light. I wish it would just had super bright. That would be smart. Okay, so let's give this another turn real quick here. All right, we got some results. Still got a little bit of chipping out here and there, but you kind of get the idea, I think, with this turquoise. So it's just going to require doing a little bit of touch up here and there, but it looks pretty good. I mean, this area right here where it's all solid, look at how nice that is. We haven't even polished or done anything. I mean, it's just, but it definitely stands out. So brighter colors, lighter colors are going to really stand out with darker background. And then here's our leaf. Like I said, there's voids, but in the areas where there's, let me turn this down just a little bit further. Make it a little cleaner. But where it's not, you know, there's no breaks or anything like that, it looks really great, I think. Got a few more divots in this one, so you're just gonna have to come back and put some on. I would say after that first round, the way that I did it, where putting the glue in and then pressing down the silver leaf, that seems to have worked a little bit better, actually. This groove, though, at the same time, really was, I don't think it was as deep. So, I don't know. Mileage may vary with that approach. So let me, we'll get this last one. The last one is the macro sparkle. So that looks excellent. That worked out pretty good. So I think your 14 karat nugget, if you've got that, is, whoa, I'm losing, sorry guys, losing the camera, can't see. That's probably going to be the easiest way to go for gold, is just go with your 14 karat nugget, because that worked out great. There's a little bit of a void right there, but you know, I mean, that's it. Everything else worked out great. And that was an easy mix in the cup and then just kind of shove it down in there. So let's do just a little bit of sanding. I know that there's voids and stuff, but you know, we all kind of got to get going here. Just to make it a little bit cleaner so you can kind of see. Let's hit this with some 600. To kind of smooth things out a little bit, you know, polish it up. All right. I'll show it to you dry, but I'm also going to re-wet it because it'll probably kind of give you an idea of what it would look like, kind of glossy. Definitely happy with this macro. That looks great. The leaf is a good one, but you know, if you don't have, I don't know. So I think that you get a pretty similar look with this macro sparkle. So like really, I think a glitter is probably going to be a lot easier than messing around with that leaf. If you can find a fairly small, you know, glitter like the macro sparkle. That looks fabulous, that macro pearl, whatever. this looks great. I mean, it's a slightly different, it's silver versus white, but, and then I really do like this turquoise. So let's wet this down just a little bit. And that'll kind of give you a little bit more of an idea of, you know, what's it going to look like when it's kind of buffed. And this is really popping, it's sparkling. I mean, it almost looks like diamond dust or something like that's going on. The leaf looks great. It's pretty broken up though. It needs more fill. But I think that you're probably going to get a little bit better, like the finer the particles, let's say, the easier it is to fill that groove. You know, it'll just compact better and everything. You really have to kind of push down that leaf, you know, the chunks of leaf, to get it in there. You really have to play around with that. And then mica powder obviously is going to work great as well. It's just going to be a matter of what color with which blank, you know. So anyway, let's see. I'm going to stop real quick. And oh, Mike's got the gold leaf if you guys want to grab any gold leaf. Also from Easy Inlay. Yeah, definitely more exploration needed. Sorry guys, I can switch to this view. Ad number 6. I just pay for the YouTube premium because I don't want to watch ads ever. And so that just kind of solves the problem. Plus you get movies and music and all kinds of stuff. So I just went for that option. And I never know when there's ads happening on the YouTubes. So I'll show you this one more time. Not too shabby. Like I said, it doesn't match the kit. That's the only, you know, the only complaint I have, I guess. But it's pretty cool. And so hopefully this gives you guys some ideas of different stuff to do. You know, it just, there are so many ways to slightly alter pens. And I think a lot of people kind of feel like, oh, they all kind of look the same and it's the same kits and this and that. But you can really make your pens your own by adding just like the smallest little details and things. It's pretty cool. So hopefully this gives you guys some ideas. Hopefully you'll go and try the beading cutters out too, because those things are really awesome. Just a brilliant addition to their lineup. I mean, I don't know. I'm always blown away at all the stuff that Easy Wood Tools comes out with. So this is the cutter. It's just, that's all, you know, and it goes on the mini, somebody put it down there, mini, I forget the names, medium, mini, and the other one. They're the little Easy Start, I think is what the other tools are. So I was using the minis, but you can put these on the medium size handles as well. And they have, like I said, 1/8 inch, 3/16, quarter, and 3/8. So all kinds of different ones. And you know, obviously they're made for beading, for making those humps. But they're really good at grooving as well. They're groovy, man. So anyway, you can get those the beading cutters at Turner's Warehouse. I'll drop a link to that. There's a link down in the show notes as well. You can get that there. And then there's one more of the holiday theme, but the style of blank that I turned last week. There's one more, unless somebody snagged it. I don't know, but last time I looked, there was one more on my website. So there's that. Let's see. Yeah, bottle stoppers, adding, I mean, that's another thing that, you know, that's the tough thing about bottle stoppers is it's fun to put a lot of embellishments and shaping on there, but you can add some visual interest without having, the problem that what I was going to say is when you have a lot of bumps and stuff, like I don't really want to use the beading thing on a pen and make it like all, because it would be so hard to sand. But this, just grooving and then filling in, that allows you to, it's a simple process to sand, to create all that kind of stuff, but it adds a really cool interest. So yeah, well, I was almost going to pull out, I had a prototype dark energy. But yeah, when I get more into doing the custom pens, the fountain pens and all that stuff, I definitely want to, like I said, I mean, this example, I obviously made, this is a cap. I mean, that's what I made this. I had to do, I think I had to do that to hold it or something like that. Anyway, to cut through. But I really think it'd be kind of cool to have that, and just, it breaks up the visibility, the view of just a simple 3-piece custom pen. Yeah, I don't have a good example, but maybe a little bit more on the ones that actually have like the cap kind of hanging off where it looks like a pen cap, but just to have a little bit of different something to look at on these custom pens. I think it's a simple way to do it. You don't have to learn some new technique, buy any new, well, you might want to buy the beading tool cutters, but they're pretty cheap. There's no specialized equipment or tools or knowledge. Just cut it, fill it in and move on. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. I had a good time. And then, yeah, that looks, it's so close, just a little bit orange. But I like that. It just adds a little bit of something different on this pen. I like it. What do you guys think? I don't know. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you learned something and you'll try it out. If anybody does do this kind of filling method, whether you use the beading cutters or not, tag me if you post it on Instagram or anything. Wood, yeah, it would work great on wood. The one thing, yeah, it should work fine. Watch dies with wood, because it can kind of really like bleed out into it. If you wouldn't really want to use like the paint method. Mica powders and stuff like that, not a big deal, but just be aware that unless you actually seal the wood, it can kind of like dyes and things like that can kind of like bleed out of that channel. So just be aware of that. Plastics, you're not going to have to worry about that. But anyway, guys, I hope you have a great evening. We'll be back. Let's see, what is the date for next week? Hold on a minute. Christmas is coming. I don't know what day it is. 23rd. Okay, so we're good to go on the next. I think we're good to go. We have family in town, and I can't remember what days we're doing stuff. Some of those days, like I'm not even going to be in town. I'll be in Reno. So tentatively, I think we're good to go for next week's stream. We'll do some, I don't know what we'll do, probably some casting next week for sure. There is a possibility that I may not be able to do the stream next week. If that's the case, we'll be back on the 30th. So either way, I'll let you guys know. But I hope you all have a great evening. Thanks for all the ideas and thoughts and all that kind of stuff. Like I said, it's kind of fun to do these little, random, like, I don't know, I don't see a lot of people doing this, so hopefully it was something kind of new, and then it sparks lots of different ideas from everybody in the chat. So I love seeing that. But anyway, guys, I hope you have a great rest of the evening. If I don't see you until after Christmas, if you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, have a good one. If I don't see you, but I think we're going to be back on next Saturday, on the 23rd. But like I said, if not, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody, and I will see you guys all on the next stream.